Alrighty guys, good morning. Today we're going to look at the stoichiometry problems from the Mass to Mass Calculations worksheet. Mass to Mass reminder has the notes for that kind of stoichiometry on Google Classroom underneath week 8. But even though these are slightly larger problems than what we're used to, don't panic. It's still stoichiometry, so it's still going to follow the same basic steps. Step 1, analyzing, finding your known and unknown. Step 2, determining your relationships. Unlike other stoichiometry problems, since this is a mass to mass problem, it does not just have one relationship. Instead, it has 3. We also know what these 3 are. It's the molar mass of the known, the mole ratio, the molar mass of the unknown. So we have 3 relationships we will find as we solve this problem. Step 3, we'll set up our calculation. And I'll also do a little bit of review on how to find molar masses. So what you're doing today, guys, is you're looking at question number 1, which says, what mass of iron is needed to react with sulfur in order to produce 96 grams of iron 3 sulfide according to the following equation? 2Fe plus 3S, oh, there should be an arrow there, Fe2S3. So guys, let's start off by analyzing our question. As you read through the question, you should be looking for your known, which starts with a number. Take a moment, try to decide what's the number? Should be 96 grams. And the grams are of iron sulfide, so we're going to put Fe2S3. Our unknown begins with the question word. Take a moment, find your question word. It looks like it's what. And then read what comes after it. It says mass of iron. So we're going to put question marks since this is our unknown. And we're going to put grams because mass is measured in grams. And we'll also label the type of gram iron since there's more than one type of gram in this equation. Now that we've analyzed our question, it's time to determine our relationship. We're going to find the molar mass of our known, the mole ratio, and the molar mass of our unknown. The first thing we're going to want to do is find the molar mass of the known. To find molar mass, reminder that we need to find the chemical formula first, and then from there we use the periodic table's atomic masses and add them up accordingly. So the formula for the known is Fe2S3. As you can see, the 2 elements that make up iron sulfide is iron and sulfur. Molar mass of iron is 55.845, whereas sulfur's is 32.066. From the formula, we see that there are 2 irons. Now, technically, you can add this mass twice to the total mass, or you could just multiply it by 2. Sulfur occurs 3 times in the formula, so we take the mass of sulfur and you could add it 3 times, or you could multiply it by 3, which is the faster way. Find these totals. This is going to be the total amount of mass of iron and iron sulfide. This is the total mass of sulfur and iron sulfide. Add them together. Find what your value is. You should get 207.888 if I'm not mistaken. And that's going to be your grams of Fe2S3 equal to 1 mole of Fe2S3. Now note, that's our molar mass right here. So we're going to come back and use this relationship as we get to our calculation phase. Next, we're going to look at the mole ratio. The mole ratio comes from the balanced equation, and it's of your known to your unknown. So we're looking at our Fe2S3. We go over here. Looks like there's 1 Fe2S3 for every one of our unknown, which is Fe, for every 2 moles of Fe. We should really probably write that down. You can also circle it. I can't circle it in this case because I didn't write it down myself. So I'm just going to rewrite it over here. I'm going to say 2 moles. Trying to make that neater. Let's write it underneath. 2 mole Fe equals 1 mole of Fe2S3. And that's our next relationship. The final relationship is the molar mass of our unknown. Now this one's going to be pretty easy because the molar mass's formula is Fe. As we previously saw, the molar mass of iron is 55.845. So the last molar mass is 55.845 grams of iron is equal to 1 mole of iron. These three relationships are what we are gonna turn into fractions and multiply by when we get to the calculation. As a general template, let me make a little bit more space. There we go. In your calculation, you take your known times your relationships. But since we know what our relationships are, we are going to write them down in order. We start off with the molar mass of our known. We use K for known. Underline my X's, or my times ends, just to make it a little clearer. And next we'd multiply by the mole ratio. And then next and finally, we're multiplying by the molar mass of the unknown. This is going to give us how many grams of unknown that we are looking for. So let's go ahead and start plugging this in. Your known value comes from your question. So we're going to use the 96 grams Fe2S3. We shouldn't use this number again, so we shouldn't have to refer back to it at any point after this. Now note, generally you can leave it like this, but I want to turn it into a fraction just because it makes my multiplying fractions later easier. Next, I multiply it by a molar mass of known. Now the molar mass of our known is 207.888 grams of iron sulfide, equal to 1 mole of iron sulfide. We have to decide what part's going to go on bottom to cancel out the units that we have on top right here. Choose if you want grams on bottom or moles on bottom. Okay? Yes, you should have grams on bottom. That means we're going to put the 207.888 on the bottom of Fe2S3, and the 1 mole of Fe2S3 is going to go on top. Next, we're going to multiply by our next relationship, the mole ratio. Your mole ratio, reminder, is 2 moles of iron equal to 1 mole of iron sulfide from the balanced equation. We have to decide whether we want moles of iron on bottom or moles of iron sulfide. Take a moment to choose now. Okay, we do want moles of iron sulfide on bottom. So that's 1 mole of iron sulfide, so I copied that down exactly. Now, because I've used this part on the bottom, the other half of the equal sign, the other side of the equal sign goes on top. And now we're able to move on to the final relationship before we start canceling out units and checking our answer, solving for our answer. It's the molar mass of our unknown, or molar mass of unknown, which is 55.845 grams of iron equal to 1 mole. We have the same issue we had when we were over here. We now must find out whether or not grams are going on bottom or moles are going on bottom. Remember, the choice of what goes on bottom and what goes on top is really dependent on what the unit is on the top of the previous fraction. Note here it's moles of iron. Make your decision about whether moles or grams of iron should be on bottom. That's correct. We do want 1 mole of iron on bottom. Since we use this part on the bottom portion of this fraction, the other half of the equal sign goes on top. And now we check to make sure that our units all cancel and we're left with the units of our unknown, which would be grams of unknown. So first things, grams of iron sulfide, if it's the same on top and bottom or the same diagonally, you know you've set it up correctly. So this has been set up correctly because we have canceled out the units. Here, mole of iron sulfide, it's the same diagonally, it's the same on top and bottom. So they cross out, they cancel. Mole of iron, these cancel. We are left with what unit? That's right, grams of iron, which is exactly what we were trying to look for in our unknown. Now we will multiply all of the top, multiply all the bottom, let me scoot it up. Multiply all the top, multiply all the bottom, top divided by bottom to get our answer. Another way of doing this, kind of a shorthand way, would be to multiply the numbers on top. So in this case, 96 times 1 times 2 times 55.845. Divide by the numbers on bottom. So divide by 1, divide by 207.888, divide by 1, divide by 1. Find your answer and round it to a whole number. Select the whole number. That's right, 52. Alrighty guys, I hope you have gotten some very useful information from this. If you have any questions, just email me today. Watching this, you will receive points for answering the questions and what questions you got correct. You may watch it as many times as you need. If you would like to improve your score, watch it again.